What's up, YouTube? Welcome back for another college pick'ems video. This week we got week 2. Week 1 is on the wraps. A lot of crazy stuff happened this week. A lot of upsets, big upsets, I would say. I'm here and I'm joined by my regional college football expert, Rhett. We got Rhett with us today. All right, sweet. So last week was an ugly week for us in terms of predictions. We finished 4-6 on the ESPN games, but we finished 7-7 with the games that we added on there. But even with that, it's a pretty ugly week. We trash talk UL Monroe. They got the win over Army. Damn it. Duke got the upset over Clemson. My gosh, what a game. Klubnik did not look good. Colorado, prime time now. Prime time bringing the show to Colorado. Travis Hunter looking like a Heisman candidate. How about that? I mean, how can you expect all these things, right? What else happened? South Carolina lost to North Carolina. South Carolina's O-line was buns. There were all a bunch of traffic cones. Everything through. I guess you can compare them to the border. It's just wide open, right? Straight gate, right? Just jokes. But yeah, that was Drake May had a performance. FSU, man, big win over LSU, and it helps them more that if Clemson lost, so less competition in the ACC. What else happened? Texas Tech, Baylor got a bunch of hype. They got upsetted. So crazy week 1. You never know what's gonna happen week 1. So. You want to recap any games, right?
Yeah, week 1 had a lot of surprises, man. Big upsets, Texas Tech, Baylor losing, kind of spoiling their season, maybe? It might be too soon to say, but those are 2 heavy losses to take in week 1 when you have such a hard schedule that they're going to have. Other notes I would like to put out there, UCF, big win against Kent State. Shout out to my brother. USF lost, no big deal. But let's start with the Duke game. I had them potentially on upset alert. It was on my spreadsheet. I didn't pull the trigger on it though.
Good call.
Can't take credit for it. I didn't pull the trigger, but I knew Duke had something going this year when they brought back most of their players. Riley Leonard, I think, solidified himself as a national candidate who is going to bring noise wherever he goes. Florida State, LSU, rough first half for FSU, rough first half. They brought it back and dominated the second half in all aspects of the game. And then lastly, we can go with the North Carolina game. In the video that we made for week 1, I did say LSU's defensive line needs to get to Spencer Rattler, and they got to him 9 times. 9 times officially with sacks.
Exactly what happened.
They pressured him, I think, maybe 15, 16 times. Dominant performance in terms of defensive line compared to the offensive line. South Carolina is a good team. They need to solidify that offensive line. If they don't, Spencer Rattler, he could get hurt. I mean, he can't afford to get hit 9 times in a game. And that's what happened. That was the difference maker in the North Carolina game. Go ACC. We need them to perform as best as they can for FSU to make a playoff run.
Yeah, your team's doing good. Talking about my team, freaking Gators, man, what a mess. I was forgetting about them until you said Florida State. I was like, oh my gosh, my team. I got flashbacks.
Yeah.
I had PTSD from Utah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That was ugly.
Mm-hmm.
But so now we're just gonna give our quick picks for the college playoffs. Granted, we did make these picks before we did not record them before week 1, but these were our picks before week 1. We did make shorts on them this week, so that's our receipts. So I'll go first. I had Georgia at 1, FSU 2, Bama 3, Texas 4. I'm confident those 4, and this week's makes me feel better about my picks. So take it away, Rhett.
I got Georgia number 1. Notre Dame, number 2. Florida State, number 3. Washington, number 4. I feel fairly confident with those 4 teams. As of right now, we're still very early days. All those teams have tough schedules except for Georgia. They just have Tennessee as a potential top 10 matchup.
Yeah.
But I feel confident in those 4 teams as of right now. They seem good, and they have very favorable, heavily weighted schedules to enhance their strength of schedule.
What a cupcake schedule that is. Up until the SEC championship game, whether they're going to verse Bama or LSU, still pretty weak. Even if LSU makes, I don't see how they're going to have a chance.
Don't sleep on Tennessee, man. Don't sleep on them yet.
True. Yeah, you're right. So, with all that said, we're going to get ahead and start with our Week 2 predictions. All right? You ready to get moving, Rhett?
Let's do it, man.
Let's do it. All right. First game on the slate, we got Notre Dame versus NC State. This short. Sam Hartman, he's a beast. He's going to be a Heisman contender. They got that running back. Defense is good. NC State, I'm not liking their offense. Defense might not be what it used to be. So I'm going to go with Notre Dame, Fighting Irish.
NC State game, I have the Fighting Irish. This should not come as a surprise, especially since we just gave our playoff predictions and I have Notre Dame at number 2. That means realistically they're going to have to go undefeated or maybe lose one game against USC in there and dominate the rest of the competition. I think Notre Dame's got them outclassed in all facets of the game. Offense, defense, special teams. When it comes to the quarterback, coaching, I know Notre Dame's got the edge. Sam Hartman, potentially a threat for the Heisman these days. Looking very sharp in the pass game. He is mobile when it comes to the red zone. He's able to escape and get first downs on long third down, maybe long second down plays. He's able to extend the play, potentially get a first down. NC State, you got Brennan Armstrong, Virginia transfer quarterback. Performed well in week 1. Performed exactly a veteran QB should perform. These 2 quarterbacks have a lot of history with each other, being pretty much Notre Dame's an ACC school at this point. They have a lot of history. Sam Hartman, I'm pretty sure, has the Wake Forest Demon Deacons have destroyed Virginia the last couple years. I see no difference. I got Notre Dame winning big.
All right. There we go. So you got hopefully finished undefeated. Next game we have here, we got Utah and Baylor. We kind of mentioned earlier where Baylor did lose their starting quarterback due to injury, hurt his MCL, and they got upset last week against North Texas.
Texas State.
With that, yes, Texas State. Thank you. Texas State. They got upset by Texas State. And with all that, they do not look great without him. Yeah, I feel like this is an easy pick. I got Utah. They looked real good against Florida, even without Rising. Rising, right?
Rising, yep.
Yep, without Rising. The 2 backup quarterbacks stepped up. The 3rd string, he is fast as heck, man. That man can run. And the backup quarterback was making plays and just getting the balls to receivers. And with all that said, I got Utah.
It's a shame, Utah, with these non-conference games. They scheduled these games probably 4 years ahead, and Florida was trending very upward at that point. Baylor was also a trendy pick, and you really hate to see when those 2 games that you thought were strong non-conference games turn out to be this way. Now, I only say that for Baylor because of their QB, Blake Shapen. He's out, but in that game against Texas State that they were upset, Shapen had 300 yards passing. So he definitely was injured towards the end of the game, which means Baylor did not look too good for majority of that game and then eventually lost it without him. Utah's just going to overpower them, man. I don't care if Cam Rising doesn't come back for this week. I don't care if he comes back for next week. Utah, with the combination of, I forget the second string's name, but Nate Johnson, I think, is the 3rd string, with electric speed, man. That guy can run.
Yes.
He's only going to get better with throwing. He's a redshirt freshman. Utah's got a better defense. I think they're going to bully Baylor's offense, especially without their starting QB, their veteran starting QB. The coaching matchup is more interesting to me than the actual game with Aranda and Whittingham. This is another game where home field advantage might play a role for Baylor. I just think the fans are going to be kind of dejected, especially after week 1 losing at their house. Yeah, it's going to be hard to pick against Utah. I think Utah runs away with this game and might sneak into the top 10, depending on how dominant.
Yeah, true. That defensive line is nasty for Utah, man. They're cooking right now. All right. With all that said, moving on to the next game, we got Nebraska at Colorado. Now, oh boy, I'm on the primetime hype train now. How can you not get excited after the first game of the season? Colorado, like, how many times in your lifetime have you ever been excited about the Colorado Buffaloes, right? So, what they do, they got a whole buttload of transfers. Prime time, I brought in all these players. They have the number 1 recruit of his class, Travis Hunter. They have his son at quarterback, and they're just explosive, man, making plays left and right. Whereas Nebraska, man, they had the lead early in the game against Minnesota, but then they just blew it with the game-losing interception, which led to the game-winning field goal. So it's a disappointing start for Nebraska, where Colorado is coming off an electric win over TCU. And with all that said, Nebraska does have Matt Rule. I think he will be able to turn this program around, just not yet, because I'm all over this hype train. I am on it. I'll be the freaking driver of the train, whatever that's called. I'm all over Colorado. What do you think, Rhett?
Yeah, I agree with what you said. The hype is real with Colorado right now. The hype is real. Now, it's week 2. They just had a phenomenal week 1. Dare I say emphatic. They beat the defending runner-up. TCU looked good. Their defense looked exactly how it looked last year, honestly. Unorganized at times, made plays when they needed to, but also gave up big plays. They're lucky their offense kept them in that game because that could have been ugly. In terms of Colorado's explosive offense, with Shedeur Sanders, you got all those wide receivers. You got Weaver, you've got Horn, you've got Travis Hunter. There's another player I'm just blanking on right now. You have their running back Edwards. I mean, their offense is going to be tough to beat because they're young and they're ready.
Yeah.
They want to play and they're hungry to play. Nebraska, asked me 2 weeks ago what I thought of this game. I was going to pick Nebraska because I like Jeff Sims as the quarterback. He makes a lot of mistakes, but he's so athletic. He's so fun to watch at times, and Nebraska needs that right now. They need an electric player who's going to get people in the seats of that 92,000 capacity stadium. That's what Nebraska needs. They need excitement. With Matt Rule, Jeff Sims, all the transfers they got on offense and defense, I was ready. I was excited to pick them this game. But as long as Colorado doesn't show up complacent, maybe they don't party too much on Friday before this game, Colorado should win this game. They should. I'm going to back Colorado, but be careful of this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think.
Yeah, I have to agree. I think it will be closer. But Colorado to the Natty, man. Colorado to the Natty. Moving on. We got a rivalry game. We got Iowa at Iowa State. So, Iowa, they showed that they can produce some offense against Utah State, but they only scored 24 points. But the defense, the defense is going to be good. It's just a question matter of the offense. I'm not too familiar with Iowa State, but I am going to go with Iowa here just because of their the program, the culture, the program's ability to produce good defenses. And it seems like the offense is having an upward trend, and that would be huge if they're able to score points with a defense like they have.
Your audio was cutting out a bit there. I understood what you said, but it was a little staticky. I'll just keep going though. I have Iowa State winning this game. I was deliberating all last night when I was making these picks on whether or not I wanted to pull the trigger on Iowa. Iowa's just a boring team to watch, man. And when you have the coach's son as the offensive coordinator, and he has a bonus incentive in his contract for them to average over 25 points a game, that doesn't give me a good idea of this team offensively. They got Caden McNamara. He was never a showstopper at Michigan. He was always a competent QB, and he got the job done when needed. They relied on a heavy run game at Michigan with Caden McNamara. I think they're going to do the same at Iowa. Iowa's going to play very competent defense. They're not going to make many mistakes. They shouldn't. That's their culture. Iowa State, I just like the coach, Campbell. And I think they have a younger team. They're hungrier. This is a rivalry game at home. I got Iowa State. It's going to be close. It's going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be boring. Don't tune into this game, honestly. But Iowa State maybe by 6 to 10 points. I don't know.
Okay. So we're on different sides here. I'm on Iowa. You on Iowa State. All right. So next game, we got Ole Miss and Tulane. Now, Tulane both they proved us both wrong against South Alabama.
Mm-hmm.
So Pratt, he was there. He was good. He played well. Then Ole Miss, man, they scored 73 points last week, and they looked impressive. They got Jackson Dart. They got an explosive offense.
Mm-hmm.
For this game, I have no reason as to why, but I'm going to Tulane.
Wow.
I'm going to go with Tulane. They fooled me once. I'm not going to let them fool me again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just going to hope that Ole Miss's defense is just slacking that week or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then Tulane, Pratt's going to throw all over them. They don't trust the culture. I'm on the Tulane hype train. Let's go.
Shoot, baby. With the Tulane game, it's a home game for Tulane. Very small stadium, though. I don't know if crowd noise is going to be too much of an issue. Plus, Tulane is in Louisiana. Ole Miss ain't too far from Louisiana. I think their fans will travel for this game. Now, great QB matchup we've got. We got Jackson Dart versus Matt Pratt, maybe his name is. Matthew Pratt. I don't know. It's Pratt.
Pratt.
Great
Pratt.
Great running game on Tulane. Ole Miss has a good running game, too. And
Yes.
South Alabama, they fooled me last week again. I was on the hype train with South Alabama. I even said they could be they're my favorite. They're my favorite for the New Year's Six Bowl. I was wrong. They did not look good. They did the same thing to me that happened to Bowl Mania. I'm not trusting South Alabama anymore. Okay, that's my fault. I looked too deep into South Alabama. But Ole Miss would beat South Alabama by 55 points. That being said, Ole Miss's SEC defense, they're going to bully Tulane. Tulane may be the favorite for a New Year's Six bid, though. They look really good. They look almost as good as they looked last year, honestly. It wasn't against South Alabama. I want to see this game. I'm going to be tuning into this game alongside Texas A&M Miami. I have 2 screens going. I got Ole Miss by, let's say, 15 points.
Okay. I feel like definitely the key matchup here is going to be Tulane's offense against Ole Miss's defense. So I think the key to this game is whether Ole Miss's defense steps up. Do they have an SEC defense, though? I thought historically they were lackluster on defense.
Very true. But they've been playing SEC caliber teams for some time now. Lane Kiffin has never been known to have a good defense, but you got me there and checkmate a bit. I'm just going with SEC. I'm going with Ole Miss because their defense has seen better offenses, and I think they're going to be ready for whatever Tulane throws at them in terms of talent and play style. So maybe SEC defense isn't the correct terminology, but because they play in the SEC and they play high-power offenses such as LSU and Alabama last year, Tulane's offense is not going to scare Ole Miss. Give me the Rebels, baby.
All right. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't missing something, because they only allowed 7 points last week, so that's fair. That's a fair analysis. But yeah, all right.
They played Mercer.
Yeah, that too. But here we go. I like the diversity we're having here. So, another one down.
Yep.
Next game. Oh, I feel like one of us is gonna do real good, the other one's gonna do real bad. Hopefully, it's you that does real bad.
Oh man.
All right,
I'm
we
gonna
got
be out of a
Texas
job
A&M.
if you-
You can't go negative this week.
I know, man.
All right.
I know.
Next game, we got Texas A&M at Miami.
Mm-hmm.
So Miami, who did they play last week? I'm noobing out here.
I'll give you
Who
a
they play
hint.
last week?
I'll
They
give you a
play-
hint. The school is the same city.
Oh yeah, Miami. There's a bet on Miami. What am I talking about? Yeah, you're right. They played Miami.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely beat them, cover the spread and everything. Texas A&M also won last week, but it was against, cupcake teams, right? Now, this would be a real test for Texas A&M
Mm-hmm.
and for Miami as well. Mostly for Texas A&M, as they've been disappointing the last few years, and they are fighting to prove that they are worth a playoff spot.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone every year predicts Texas A&M to make the playoffs, especially Desmond Howard, right? Texas A&M's number one fan. So I'm actually going with Miami. I'm going to put faith in Miami here. I'm trusting Van Dyke and that offense. I'm also going to be trusting that defense. I think Texas A&M is overrated every year, and I think this is where they disappoint. This point in the season where they disappoint and let everyone down again. So I'm going with Miami.
That's fair. I'm looking up the game last year to see what the score was, but from what I remember, it was a pretty boring matchup. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, the score was 17-9 last year.
I feel like it'll be different this year, though.
Both teams very disappointing last year. They both had really good recruiting classes. Miami Cristobal's first year at his alma mater. He has all his coordinators that he wants. He's got the top recruits from South Florida on his team. This was supposed to be his year. This is last year. And then the wheels fell off. The culture, the Miami culture has been bad for half a decade now. And
Yes.
I don't know if you saw, but there's a little bit of legal turmoil in the Miami system with their biggest NIL contributor is in court, I want to say, for something fraudulent, I believe. Allegedly.
I didn't know that.
We'll see. But
Allegedly.
Miami's culture is terrible. They have all the talent in the world. I'm a Florida State fan, but I root for my Florida teams. I just can't pick Miami after last year. They need to prove. They need to prove it to me. They need to prove it to me. I need to see it from them. Texas A&M has had a top 10 recruiting class. I want to say 4 out of 5 years since Jimbo Fisher's been there. They've had a top recruiting class. It's about damn time that these players start playing like it. Come on, Aggies. It's a home game for Miami in Sun Life Stadium, whatever it's called now, Hard Rock Stadium. It's too big of an arena for them. It's too big. They're not going to generate the crowd noise that Kyle Field generates. This is going to be an easy game for Texas A&M. I'm calling it right now. Yeah. This is going to be another Florida State LSU game, just flopped with the SEC. Texas A&M is properly rated this year. They're not overrated. They're not underrated. They're properly. Go Aggies, baby.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm gonna call cap on that you were cheering for Miami ever. Okay. Well, and the second of all, that's a good point with the stadium because it is kind of like a distance away from the campus, so it's hard for them to fill it out sometimes. Especially last week. Last week was empty, and I had a few buddies go to the game, and they said there was only $10. How crazy is that?
It's not surprising.
Yeah.
It's been like that for decades now. I mean, I'm a big component of college football teams having their own stadium. Whether it's too small for the school, you need a stadium. Miami could easily generate enough funds to get a stadium on campus. USF is doing it, for Christ's sake.
For sure.
Miami can get a 60,000 capacity stadium get it in there on campus, have all the students show up, have all the alums show up, and they would be formidable. I think home field advantage is huge in college football. You saw it last night with the Duke Blue Devils. Being able to rush that field is such an amazing feeling. I wish I was able to experience something like that as a USF alum. We would never get there because we don't have our own stadium. We're not allowed to rush on an NFL field. Same with Miami. If Miami wins this game, I'd be shocked if they rush the field. They might, but I think that's a huge component. They need their own stadium. Miami, their culture is just not good right now. Give me Texas A&M big.
Yeah. It's like you never had an opportunity in USF. What's going there? Nothing.
Our biggest win was against Georgia Tech in 2018.
Woo!
Come on.
Yes. Let's go. All right. Moving on. We got a big game.
Hell yeah.
Next game, we got Texas at Alabama. Ooh, last year's game was, what, Alabama won by 1 point. It's like, what, 20-19 or something like that?
Yeah.
That's insane. So, but Bama's going to be home. It's going to be tough. Bama is better than they were last year. What's his name? Milroe had a good game last week. He's proven to be good.
Yep.
They played Middle Tennessee, though, so, I mean, what does that say? But still, he's a very good quarterback.
Yep.
They got a solid team. They worked on that run. They worked on the defense. And, yeah, even with all that said, we're going with Texas, baby! We're going with Texas. I got Texas hook 'em, baby. We're going to go with Texas. I liked what I saw from the run defense. I think they'll be able to slow down Alabama's running game. I like Quinn Ewers. I'm a believer in Texas as I have them going to the playoffs. And for them to go to the playoffs, I think they do have to be undefeated. So I'm going with Texas, baby. They're going to win, and it's going to be close. Give me Texas. Maybe we see a little Archie Manning action. I don't know. I don't know if he's registered or not. But Quinn Ewers, he's a dog. Their backup quarterback played last week, too. He's the dog. That guy's huge. 6'6" with a cannon of an arm. Alabama's main thing is going to be the run. Texas showed to be good against the run. Granted, it was against Rice, but still. They have JT Daniels. I know that means nothing, but still. Defense showed out. I'm going Texas.
I will say your audio cut out a bit. You can leave it in there, but I'll just pick up where we left off. You should be fine. That was a plot twist,
Did you hear my rant?
man. That was a plot twist with the hat. I'm not going to lie. I saw the hat. I thought it was for Tennessee Vols because I saw the T, it looks like, right there.
Yeah,
that was a plot twist. I'm curious, and we can break this down later. No big deal. But how your playoff prediction is going to match up with Alabama being 3, Texas being 4. Don't worry about it. It's fine. We'll worry about the logic flaw later.
I know, it makes no sense. I didn't think about it.
Yeah, We'll worry about that logic flaw later. I got Alabama this game. They needed help last year to win this game. Remember, Quinn Ewers had some groin sprain, I believe it was. Knocked out the game.
He got hurt in the middle of the game.
Yeah, and Hudson Card came in. He was fine, but Bama crept up. I think had a game-winning field goal, or at least a field goal in the last minute of the game to win that game. Saturday, it's going to be a big game, huge atmosphere. Game day is going to be there. All the students are going to be there. Bryant-Denny Stadium is going to be packed. It's a night game, a rare night game for Bama at home. I'm so excited to see this atmosphere. Chris Fowler, Kirk Herbstreit calling the game. I don't have an analysis because these teams are so evenly matched. They're so evenly matched on all aspects. I just believe in Nick Saban more than I believe in the guy, Texas coach. What's his name? Shit. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Texas coach. I believe in Nick Saban. The Texas coach has been an assistant under Saban not once, but twice. Saban's going to teach him who's the big daddy. Give me Alabama.
You're talking about Sarkisian. Steve Sarkisian.
Steve Sarkisian. I don't care. You know what? You know what they say about dad strength. Nick Saban is going to dads are always stronger than the kids, no matter what. The dads will always beat up their kids. Nick Saban is Sarkisian's father. Give me Bama.
You're saying Bama's going to spank Texas?
I say Bama's going to beat Texas. That might be a bad analogy with the father-son, but bring out the belt. Bama's about to whoop that ass.
Yeah. We'll see. Another one, you see what I mean? I feel like one of us is going to do real good and the other is going to do real bad. So I'm kind of scared as I'm picking the underdogs here.
Well, that game is so evenly matched, man. There's blatant differences in terms of the defensive styles. Offense is going to be very different. Air raid offense for Texas. More of a balanced approach for Bama this year with a dual threat quarterback. I just believe in Bama and Nick Saban. Roll Tide, baby.
Yeah, there we go. That should be a good game. Alabama's actually favored by 7. It's crazy.
Yep.
All right. Moving on. We got the Ducks versus Texas Tech, Red Raiders. All right. So for this one, I feel like not Texas. I almost said Texas Tech. I meant Oregon. I actually think Oregon is going to win pretty convincingly here. Bo Nix, he's out to prove the world. He's just a good quarterback. Played well last week, granted against a cupcake team, like most of the good teams do. So we're going to go with Oregon. I like Texas Tech did disappoint last week, so I feel like I can't pick them this week, especially against a good team like Oregon.
Yeah, I agree. I believe Texas Tech lost last week away from home. They played Wyoming in altitude. It doesn't matter. Texas Tech.
That's interesting.
Texas Tech, this is a home game. I believe it's a night game. The student section is going to be going bananas. I don't care that they lost week 1. They feel like this is their year to shock the college football nation. Texas Tech is going to be fired up. They're going to be ready to go. Their quarterback looked fine. I think they just made crucial mistakes when they needed to play clean football. If they play clean football against the Oregon Ducks, it's going to be a lot closer than people think. I think a lot of people have Texas Tech potentially on upset alert here to beating Oregon. I'm going with the Oregon Ducks, though. Culture's really good over there. Dan Lanning, second year. You've got the quarterback, Bo Nix. And the defense is improved with Dan Lanning there, as he was the defensive coordinator at Georgia. Give me Oregon, but very close game. I think this is going to go down to the fourth quarter.
And I agree with you. Texas Tech did have hype for a reason. So I think it will be close. So that's where I'm going to agree with you. But we're both taking Oregon here. All right. Moving on. We got Big Bro University, UCF, versus Boise State. Now, just like you said earlier, I am cheering for my Florida teams. I like UCF. Almost went there. But what's his name? Reese Plumlee? That's his name, right? The quarterback?
John Rice Plumlee.
John Rice Plumlee. All right. Anyways, he's explosive, bro. He's fast. He's hurdling people. He's throwing the ball deep, dude. Bro. He's nice. I like him. I watched that game against, who did they play? They play, I forgot, some small team.
Kent State. Yes, sir.
Yep. And he looked nice there. Receivers looking nice. Run game looks nice. I like everything about this team right now. Boise State, they kept it close against Washington during the first half, and then Washington took it away in the second half. They didn't look too bad. You know, I see this as a 50-50 matchup. So I think the odds are kind of wrong by favoring UCF slightly. But I am going to go with UCF. I like their quarterback there. It kind of concerns me, though, that Boise State was able to hang with Washington in the first half. So they might be a little underrated right now just because they have that loss. But I'm going to stick with my gut. I'm going to stick with UCF.
Shout out to my brother, UCF alum. Love you, Kyle. UCF, I believe in UCF this year more than my brother does. I think UCF's going to have I think they're going to have a good first year in the Big 12. Boise State, they're kind of in a weird state right now. They've been a dominant Group of 5 team for the last 15 years, I want to say. They've been a competent Group of 5 team. You always thought they were going to move up to the Pac-12 eventually. Pac-12 is gone as of next year, so we'll see what happens with Boise State. But it's weird how Boise State has never made a New Year's Six Bowl since the playoff era has begun. And they dominated the New Year's Six Bowls prior to that. So it's weird how that shift has happened because they've always been at the top, but they always play in the Las Vegas Bowl or the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Boise State's in a weird state. The quarterback's going to be fine in terms of production. He's a dual threat quarterback, Taylor Green. He's young though. He needs time. Give me UCF with their veteran team right now. John Rice Plumlee, my brother, does not like him. I think he has room. I think he has room to grow, but Kyle does not appreciate John Rice Plumlee's passing game.
Wow.
And I agree with him after watching that game last week. What I will say, watch out for Boise State if they get a lead. They're a run-heavy team this year. They're going to run the ball. They're going to be they're going to lead the pack in terms of running. If UCF goes down in the second half, say by 2 possessions, 10 points, whatever it may be, it's going to be tough for them to crawl back with the passing game looking as it is right now. John Rice Plumlee has room to grow. Let's hope he makes that. Let's hope they dominate, because if they fall behind, it's going to be really tough for them to come back. UCF, charge on, baby.
Man, your brother's a hater, man. That guy's a 2-sport athlete, bro. He looks so athletic out there. I'm surprised he's hating on him. But I get it. His passing can be a concern at times. I do understand that. Mm-hmm. Yep. All right. Moving on to the next game. The last game.
Yes, sir.
Last game of the week. We got Oklahoma State Cowboys versus Arizona State Sun Devils. All right. For this, I do not know much about either team. I did hear Arizona State sucks this year, or was supposed to suck. They won last week, a close one. I'm just going to stick with the culture of OSU off the success they had last year. I'm just going to stick there. Not much to say there. Take it away, Brad.
I'll give you a little more analysis on this game, because I agree. If this game was 3 years ago, this would be a very hyped up game. Potentially a nightcap game at 10:30 to follow up Texas-Alabama, and there'd be a lot of eyes on this game. This year, not so much. You've got a redshirt freshman at Oklahoma State playing. You've got a true freshman at Arizona State playing. You've got Mike Gundy. You've got, I believe, a second-year coach in Arizona State right now. I forgot his name. It's slipping, but it's his second year there. Arizona State's young. Oklahoma State is in a rebuilding stage as well, with a lot of transfers that they had out last year. Spencer Sanders being the most notable one. They lost their running back, I believe. Yes. Don't fact check me there, but I'm pretty sure they lost their running back too. Oklahoma State didn't look good in their bowl game last year against Wisconsin, who was a run-heavy team. No problems with Arizona State because they're a pass-heavy team. Oklahoma State, I'm going to go with the coaching on this one. Mike Gundy's going to have a game plan. He's going to bring the heat on defense. Pressure this young quarterback, true freshman, has 1 game of experience, and they almost lost to their FCS program. They almost lost to an FCS team last week. Oklahoma State struggled against an FCS program last week. It's a very fun matchup in terms of it's non-conference. These two teams were really good 3 years ago. They fell behind this year. Give me Oklahoma State. It's going to be close because I think both teams are going to be underwhelming this year, but give me the Cowboys. All
right, there we go. Finish off agreeing. I felt like we disagreed on like maybe half of the games. So that's good. That's good. Diversity there. Mm-hmm. With all that said, that's week 2. That's all we have for week 2, and we appreciate you guys watching the videos. Anything you want to add about week 2, or is that all?
You know what, guys? Strap in. Watch game day. Cherish all that Lee Corso has left, because this might be his last year on game day. Just cherish it. Have fun. Enjoy this Saturday. It's going to be a good week. We're not going to get a lot of weeks like this, non-conference game-wise. Enjoy it. Grab your popcorn. Drink your beer. Have fun with your friends. And stay safe, guys.
You think it's going to be his last year?
Man, he's slipping a bit, man. He's becoming a little bit of a Joe Biden character.
Oh man, well, that sucks. That's sad. But anyways, that's it. That's all we have for week 2. We appreciate you guys for watching. Comment down below what you guys think. Where you agree, where you disagree. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channels, help us out. We're a growing channel, and we appreciate you guys. We appreciate for everything you guys do for us. And yeah, that's week 2. All right, catch you guys next week. Peace.